So most of the time people talk about competition or not having monopoly leading to a price reduction. However, this is not always the case, and I want to show you a specific case where this and competing leads to higher prices, or not having monopoly leads to higher prices, at least when you don't take into account a profitable venture. And especially in these this is especially true because in these industries you can't innovate as much. These are the welfare industry and the insurance industry, or any industry that has to do with very much predicting the future and then using that to back up people. I'm going to be using math and simple logic to explain this. This is going to be more mathy than my previous videos, but it's not going to be that hard, and I'm going to take my time to really explain the points. So I hope you can follow along. Well, let's go back to how insurance works and welfare in general. Insurance works in that either two things. One thing is my car breaks down and the insurance company pays me, or my health suffers and the insurance company pays for my health. Okay, fine. Where did they get that money? From a person that doesn't have a broken car in the first scenario, or is healthier than me and pays some money to the big pool of insurance. So it's a kind of redistribution. But I want that in case of emergency, so I'm willing to pay when I'm healthy, so maybe I can reap the benefits when I'm not healthy. The other way that I can, besides being working, is that I pay up money every year and they save up a little money in case of an emergency. So like retirement funds or something like that. The kind of final way is that they also sometimes promote healthier practices, like giving free flu shots so you don't get sick. That's also sort of an insurance industry. However, this does not work well with one person. It's not very predictable. 2 people or 3 people or 4 people. The more people, the better. I can kind of show that with this graph. In this graph, I'm adding numbers together, then I'm taking the average. As we see, the average should be 0.5. Let's follow the blue line. In the first case, the average is way down here, nothing like 0.5. Then in the next case, it gets better. It goes down a little bit because I'm choosing random numbers. And average, it gets better. The average is closer to what we predict. Average gets down. Then it kind of settles off. It doesn't really fluctuate as much. It's still lower than we would like. But it fluctuates less and less, and it becomes a more predictable system. We can see a similar trend in the red line, but the red line's better. The red line gets closer to average faster, and it stays more close to average. So in both cases, as I add more members, I get better and better results. Not perfect, because there's always some randomness, but the randomness doesn't take as count as line I made, that's 0.5. What is the difference between the blue and red line? Well, in the blue line, or this lower line that's less predictable, in case you can't see blue well, is I either added number 0 or 1 together and got an average. The average should be 0.5. In this line, I added numbers 0 to 1, but with steps of 10. So 0, 0.1, 0.2, and so on, until I got to 1. This actually means that this red one, the more different variables something is, the better what I've talked about works. When do we see this? Well, when do we see this, or what's the simple explanation of this? Here we go. This red one is just the one I turned. And I'm going to start with 1. Well, if I add another number randomly, like a flip a head coin, one time the average is going to still be 1, which is off. The average is half. Half times it's 1, half times 0. But half the time it improves. So this half the time it improves. This time it stays relatively the same. This time it stays relatively the same amount bad. In the next cases, it all doesn't improve, but it's improvement over the original one. Now if I add the 4, it'll be improvement over all of them, most of them. The reason why I didn't add 4 is just space, time consuming, and it starts to start getting messy. The reason why is there's only one way to have all ones here. And each of these steps, 1, 2, 3. This one, there's one way I can have the right answer, the first time I can have the right answer. And this way, I can have 3 ways the improvement of the first answer instead of one way there. If I want to speak this out loud, because for once I'm using more visuals, 1, 1. The first one I have 1. I flip a coin, I have 1. Next time I flip a coin twice, I can have 1, 1 or 1, 0. 1, 0 is improvement. Next time I can have 1, 1, 1. But I can have 3 options that are combinations of 1s and 0s, which are all better than the original guess. I'm sorry this is the first one that you really do have to maybe look at the visuals to really understand it. But the point holds. The bigger the population, the more ways I can get to the same answer, and that decreases the light probability that I make a wrong guess. What does this mean for insurance or welfare? Well, we don't have to spend as much welfare if we have one big company, one big organization doing it compared to 2 small organizations, because they can predict how much money or to give to different people or places a lot better. A lot better. They will also, we can even make this principle even better. If we have one insurance welfare program, the bigger it is, it goes roughly down with the square root of the size of population, or n. And p is the uncertainty. So p goes roughly down with the square root of n. Just divide by the square root of n. If you have 2 independent ones, what happens is the population of n1 plus the population of n2, so the probability of 1, then let's say car-insurance, the population car-insurance, plus the population of food insurance, and you might have to add some rates. The distributions are different. You add them together. Then you take the square root of that, and you get that. That's because it's kind of like vector addition. You have one thing if they're totally independent, n1. On one axis, you plot the probability, and the other one you plot n2. And they're x and y, and then you take the hypotenuse to get the new one. And that's the math where you get it from, if you really want to do a more mathematical one. But point still stands is, the more different types of insurance you put together, the better. This means that theoretically, if the government ran a super huge program where they combined car insurance, medical insurance, housing insurance, and other insurances together, that they could decrease the cost of the program in total than having a bunch of private companies do it. And you might be wondering, like, oh, the government should do car insurance. Well, look at it this way. In many states, you have to buy auto insurance if you have a car. You're already part of medical. You already have Medicare. Why not combine them? You save money in both. You can also combine food welfare programs, which is not as robust. You can combine a lot of welfare programs and have something that everyone has amount of money they can receive for these important things if their life turns bad in this one thing and they need support. They can also use this, but let's say they're not dependent, which is a true statement. If my house burns down, I'm likely to have more medical bills. If I crash my car, I'm likely to have more medical bills, and so on and so on. How would we fix? Would this model work? That the bigger my sample, the more people I have taking insurance from the same government and program, would it work? Well, certainly. Because when we have more people working together with dependent things, we can make better predictions on probability first. If I know, we use data to make this prediction. If my health insurance has more data about related to car stuff, which car causes accidents, which causes health problems, I can make better models to predict how much health care insurance I have to spend in certain places, so I can charge better prices. I can also use the resources I'm using in my car insurance to help pay for my medical insurance, because these are computers, these are people working. These same computers, devices, data collection can be from one agency. I don't have to have one agency collect the same data twice for two different cases. No, they collect the data once. They don't have to repeat, fill out the same forms for AIDS and everything. So I can make it less bureaucratic, use less computers. I can also make better models to make better prediction. And that shared resources mean the whole program can be cheaper. And less resources. Another thing that I'd have to mention is all these things are tied together. Preventing problems from one thing helps prevent problems from another thing. Let's say you lose your house. If you lose your house, your health goes down. If your health goes down, you might more likely get a car accident. So if everyone has better home insurance, they're less likely to spend more money on healthcare, and they're less likely to spend, which means that my costs associated with healthcare by insuring their home will actually go down, because I make sure they stay in the house and never have to spend their money on healthcare. The same as with food. If I make sure people have good access to food, they're less likely to lose their house, less likely to have medical problems. So protecting people from one side makes sure they have to spend less money on another side. Do I think the government... This does not mean that I don't think the government should spend a ton of money on these programs. I'm just saying that these programs would be more predictable, and then you can keep taxes at a certain level. And when we need to spend extra money, we can go into debt a little bit, the government. Then the government can raise the taxes again a little more, but more predictable manner, where we don't have tax spikes out of nowhere every time there's a natural disaster. We can also figure out how to allocate resources better, so we have everything already in place. So you don't have to worry about getting anything in the right place at a time. If we know more about car accidents or natural disasters, we can set up hospitals and medical resources already in the right place beforehand. We can preemptively strike better. We can have less people working in insurance, so more people working in healthcare or other items. And we have more expendable money when we do not have a major unexpected disaster that we can use on developing better healthcare, or we can just spend more money on healthcare itself and get everyone just gets better healthcare. So this is my ideas. Now, of course, we might have some worry about a bureaucratic or ineffective government if it was doing this, but I'm talking about the ideal case where the government is effective and we do already have these programs. I'm talking about combining them in a better roof and maybe extending them to home and other things. Thank you for this talk. And if you were wondering again why the red and blue line were different, well, the red line, when I have more variation, it's also like I'm adding more different numbers that have more possibilities of adding to the same number. So it also goes down with roughly the square root, with the square root of variation. So like if you have trying to add to the number 10 and you only have 0 and 10, there's only one way of doing it, 0 and 10. If I have all the numbers between 0 and 10, I can add up 9 and 1 to get 10, 0 and 10, and many other combinations with two numbers, and I can usually get closer. Please like and subscribe for more videos and to support the channel and me. And please comment if you feel free to, and share these videos and try to get other people interested. Thank you very much.